Welcome. My name is Dr. Harry Cohen, and this is Be the Sun, Not the Salt. This is another in our series, How? How do I show up as my best self? How do I practice being the sun and not the salt in a variety of circumstances? I'm joined by my co-host, Connie Fontaine, Chief Super Spreader. And today we're going to be talking about how do I handle myself when I'm with other people that are quite negative, and I'm not going to go down that dark road myself.
How do I not kinda get that same vibe and start being negative myself?
Yeah. And there's so many ways to do it, but it starts with our intention from the get-go.
Right.
I experience negativity like secondhand smoke. Oh, it doesn't smell very good. And I am not going to ask the person, hey, can I have a cigarette? I'm going to
Can I
protect
get
my
closer
roots.
and ingest that negativity, please? Yeah, we don't do
Exactly. I don't want to let it get in me. I don't want to breathe it in. And I certainly don't want to let someone else's negativity affect me. And I start from that posture. And I know the things that I think, say, and do will make it better or worse.
right, for a lot of us, I mean, commiseration is sometimes feels like it's a loving act, to allow somebody to be negative and continue to be negative, and if you add fuel to that, you start to feel the same way as the person who's you're looking at saying, "Wow, this person's really negative."
And what we can do with that insight is have a word track ready in our pocket. Wow, that has been very frustrating. That sounds really tough.
Mhm.
Sounds like you're going through a really difficult time. Uh, what do you think might help? What could you do as opposed to what can't you do? You know, listen without absorbing. You don't have to take it in. You can empathize, but not join in the phrase you were just talking about. Yeah, I know. Ain't it awful? I hate it too. Don't
Right.
go there. So you can think stuff, but you don't have to say it. And you certainly don't have to do stuff that will make it worse.
And what about posture? Just even your body language. Do you smile? Let's not take on
Huge.
that same physical appearance of anger and frustration. Let's smile, sit tall, lean forward, listen, be attentive and caring, but you don't have to, well, it's like don't hang with cilantro. Like this is sometimes there's people just like that. Other times it's someone you care about and you want to make them feel heard at least.
And making them feel heard is deeply important by just listening to them, but not joining in the negativity yourself. You can show a lot of respect by listening, but remember, keeping your energy, our own energy, up and as positive and as uplifting as possible is our goal. So, what comes out of our mouth, what we say, and what we do matters a lot. And we can control the energy in the room by being the more dominant force of positivity. That is a fact. Energy changes in a conversation or in a group setting based on how people behave and what they say, and therefore it's up to us to
Mhm.
change that energy, turn it into something uplifting. Lots of ways to do that.
Yep. I think that one of the ways is just to even picture the cover of the book, "Be the sun, not the salt," and, how do you put sun on the leaves of a person? And that warmth and energy and nutrition, and I think that's the way I look at it too, and sometimes it is a serious topic, so maybe smiling isn't the right one, but being the kind of positive light that the person needs in the moment and be the best you can be,
And that's very, very deliberate on our part. When
right?
you said, think about be the sun, not the salt, that's the only mantra that I carry to remind me, am I being uplifting in this circumstance or not? In the face of anyone's negativity, what am I being in this conversation in this group? What's coming out of me? Because I want to be the sun. I want to pour sun on their leaves by saying something or doing something that will be perceived and experienced as kind, thoughtful, uplifting, and good.
Right.
And that includes saying something or not saying something.
Right. Well, even if you agree, I think that, I have a personal situation right now. I would very much agree with whoever wants to address the situation and talk about how tough it is and how negative it is, but it doesn't mean using the same words I think, you mentioned it. Yes, I agree. It is not has not been fun to live with. And the way I like to approach it is I think trying to shift that energy into the positive side of what we're living with versus just the negative side of it.
It's a delicate process to
Mhm.
shift from negative when someone wants to complain and focus on the glass half full, because you can be accused of toxic positivity, which
Right?
is in fact
That's
salt
true.
on roots. You're not acknowledging the truth of the glass half empty. All you want to do is talk about the positive. So gently and delicately and appropriately um, move the conversation towards the facts, acknowledge feelings, and then talk about facts.
Hmm.
And we got to, I mean, I'm forever wanting to work on this for myself, to not to be toxically positive, but to be a person who influences the energy in a conversation in an uplifting way. And I'm never done with this. And frankly, I'd like for people to own this as a forever challenge. How do you be a force of good in the world and not succumb to other people's negativity? Protect your roots, protect your boundaries, protect how you show up in the world.
Mm.
Just because somebody else smokes doesn't mean that you are going to join in that.
Right. Yeah, and to your point, I do feel like someone's being overly or toxically positive to me if they don't acknowledge my feelings first. So if I say something's really bothering me and I haven't caught myself yet, and that person says, "Oh yeah, but think about it this way," or "Oh, are you kidding? You have so many blessings," and you think you didn't hear me, did you?
Mhm,
I think
mhm,
that
mhm.
I think one of your first points, acknowledge it. Acknowledge, yes, that must be very difficult. That must be really hard for you and I think asking a question, is there anything you've tried to, to move on beyond that? Maybe even a suggestion if they're willing and interested in it, having some other opinions.
Again, I get this question a lot. How do you deal with negatoids? And and one of the things that I think of is with compassion and empathy and remembering I don't want to be like that.
Right.
So I look at people who are often negative, go, man, oh man, do I do that? Yeah, you do sometimes.
Mm.
Don't go there.
Yeah.
You know
And
what I mean?
are negatoids that I think of. And then there's people that are just going through a tough time and,
Also.
it's negative, but how can
Mhm.
you support them in that and bring them to something that this is not a permanent situation? This is something we can move beyond. How can I help?
I will say that if you do find yourself in the presence of negatoids a lot, you might want to change your environment.
That's for sure. That's for
So
sure.
So we'll keep talking about this. Our job is to be the light. Our job is to be as uplifting and as helpful and as heliotropic as possible. So focusing on our behavior, our thoughts, our words, and our deeds. Let's see if we can make a difference with the other people in our world who are going through difficult times and or are negative.
Right. We'd love to hear from listeners. What's your strategy? How have you dealt with that? Who are the people that you've been able to help turn around? And has it made a difference for you? So thanks for listening.